Well, I only need to unmute one of you, the way the OBS or
Oh,
the way the NDI works with Skype.
yeah.
Um, and then if I unmute both of you, it'll echo. Right. But now we're all
That
on.
sucks. Woohoo!
People can see us. So, hi everyone. It says we've got a handful of viewers. I don't know who it only shows a couple in chat, and one of them is me. So, but that doesn't mean anything. Like the numbers, the number of viewers count and the number of people in chat is never the same. So I don't understand. I the
Yeah, I
Twitch
think.
situation.
Oh, holy cow! That echoed. You know what I think it is? I think part of it is when it actually counts views, it's also counting people who are streaming. Like, because like my channel is set up to stream the
Oh,
Tome Show when the
right.
Tome Show is on, right? And Mike Shea, I think, is set up so that it streams the Tome Show on
Yeah,
his
I got to
channel,
figure out how to do that
and
because
so
I need to do the same thing reciprocally to the two of you. And
yeah, it's one of the settings, and I can walk you through it later. We don't need to talk about it
yeah,
at the
at
moment.
some point we'll figure it out. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's one of
it's
those
not that
things that
hard.
for
It's
literal months I've been thinking, yeah, I should do that, and then it just
yeah,
never quite comes together. So
yeah. It's one of those where it's just a matter of taking the moment to get
right,
the thing and finding the spot, and it's really not hard. It's just
just
doing it,
like setting up the Podbean account with my payment
Hmm.
information, so you don't have to pay the yearly fee. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I paid for a year, so
right, but
you've
but
got
I
11
but
more
I want to
months
make sure to
to
get it set up so that you don't have to pay for the next year. I also need to actually get to the post office at some point and send you the Christmas stuff that from Watsy that I
Oh,
wanted to send you. So,
nice. Probably if you had mailed it like months ago, it wouldn't show up by
well,
now anyway. So, it's
awesome.
okay.
Although I sent that journal to Tracy, and she got it
Mm,
relatively quickly. What, a week and a half,
yeah.
um, and that was just media mail. And that it'll be different sending this stuff to you because it's not a
Yeah.
collection of books and whatever. So um, I won't be able to send it media mail. I'll have to send it priority or whatever. But
Yeah. Her post office is also a hub, and mine is a
oh yeah,
podunk BS piece of
okay,
crap. So it's not that my particular post office is bad. They're nice and everything. It's just that since it's not a main
right,
hub, and the main hub that's closest to mine is a piece of
right.
crap. So yeah.
Hey, D&D Jester's in the chat.
Hey,
I haven't talked to
nice.
him in a while.
That's
Hope
fun.
hope David's doing well.
Um,
Yes.
I'm looking for this thing that
Oh, that Tracy wants to talk about.
the app that
See, I
Tracy's
didn't
going to
even.
talk about.
I was like, I don't know how much I should look into it ahead of time because Tracy. The idea is that Tracy's going to tell us about it, and then we'll try it out for a month or whatever. Uh,
Oh, I've actually
but I
seen
actually, I at least Googled it to see what it was. I wasn't sure. I didn't know. Like, is this an app? Is this a I don't know. Is this a wearable? Like, what am I getting into here? So, uh,
Chewable?
chewable, yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
Tracy's gonna get us into some sort of pyramid scheme. We have to buy supplements from
Well,
her. So, all right. Should we go ahead and get started?
Yeah.
I
Do it.
should.
I don't need to open a script, right? This is the one where you
Yeah,
have the
sure.
script,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's one script for every fit episode, and I just tweak a few things here and there. Like if we have a guest, I put their name on it, or if we have a topic, I put that in there. So I literally wrote like 2 words. I wrote the name of the app and Tracy in parentheses after it. That's the only
Awesome.
adjustments I made. Although I should note something because I need to make sure to mention the sponsor. Because we still have Awesome Dice with us until the end of the month. It's still February.
Oh, nice.
So let me start recording the audio. Not that Sam's going to edit things and release. Man.
Uh,
I get you.
yeah. I know, man. I know. And I had a plan to get back on track last weekend, and it just
Oh
did
yeah.
not happen. Everything fell
You know what
apart.
I need to do?
I've got some other deadlines that I have to do for other RPG related hand-ins that I am late on now, which I hate. Um, so yeah, I'm all over the place and not getting anything
Right.
done. So
I hear you. What I need to do is, my kids, claim to really want to be into tech stuff and production and all that kind of stuff. I should just teach them to edit audio and have them start editing the podcast.
Yeah,
There you go.
Oh, you want screen time? You can have all the screen time you want as long as you're editing.
Put on the resume.
That's right. Get the 9-year-old doing it.
What is Don't Panic?
Oh, it's so I ordered custom D20s for my gaming group from Jay, who did the Tome Show art. So she made us custom jumbo D20s with embedded Raven skulls in it because we've been playing through, or we played through Ravenloft, right? And so that was my Christmas gift to my group. But she also threw in a bunch of stickers, like the talk shit and roll crits sticker,
Nice.
and then this giant Don't Panic sticker, which is a reference to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And so I decided to stick it back there on leaning up against an old hard drive that I don't even know if it works. So figured that's more interesting to have on my shelf since I got the new computer. The screen is tilted, and so the camera is tilted at a different angle. So I thought I should throw something up on that shelf to make it more interesting. So that's what it is. That's what Don't Panic is. Are we ready to start now? Because we are up to 2.5 minutes of stuff in the opening that Sam is going to have to edit out.
Whatever. Yeah. It's easy when it's just all the stuff in the beginning.
Hi, Future Sam.
Yeah, hi, Future Sam.
Yeah. Hi, Sam. I still have that little audio clip of when you went to Gen Con and you were doing the recording and you told everybody in the audience to say hi, Sam. And half of them didn't know what the hell they were doing, like why they were doing it. And so the tone is just like, hi, Sam. Because they didn't know what the hell was happening.
I need that to be your ringtone, Sam. Every time your phone goes off, hi, Sam. Perfect. Now,
dangerous.
Okay, so let's get going. This episode of The Tome is brought to you by AwesomeDice.com, the most awesome place on the internet to get dice, and by listeners like you. Thanks for using our affiliate links to shop at Amazon and DM's Guild at thetomeshow.com, or supporting us as patrons at patreon.com/thetomeshow. Welcome to Fit for D&D, the Tome Show's fitness show. It is, I have not updated this since June. It is February of 2020. No, it is February of 2021. We are not going back to February of 2020. I do not need to relive that year. So this is our usually monthly check-in, inspired by the D&D fitness hashtag. Tracy, Sam, and I check in about once a month, talk about how we're doing on our fitness goals, and dig into some topics, maybe an interview, whatever comes up. This week, or this month, we are discussing the app Habitica, brought to us from Tracy by way of Deanna, whose last name escapes me at the moment. In any case, that's what we're doing. So
Gilbert?
Yes, thank you, Deanna Gilbert. Mm-hmm. I mostly know her from
Hi, Deanna.
Deanna was a longtime early adopter of the Tome Show, and friend of the show. And then I have come to know her even more because she works a lot in Torg Eternity, which you may have heard I am a big fan of. So there we go. Did I mention that Tracy and Sam are here, who have already started saying things? How you guys doing?
Doing? I was I think it's funny because he said it was February 2020, and I'm just like, yeah, it totally feels like the character sheet. Just slash and then add the 1.
I mean, you've been seeing that joke around the internet a lot lately about how it's the, what is it, 390th day of 2020 this week. On the other hand, no. 2020 is in many ways behind. The pandemic is still here. But I don't know. 2021 doesn't, well, contemporary 2021 does not feel like February of 2020 did to me. So, things have changed. It is different.
It is different.
So,
yes.
I am not willing to extend 2020 anymore. I'm going to let it die.
I also like the ones where it's the 2 rolls of toilet paper, but now 2021 is the second roll is now empty. That's been another interesting...
I haven't seen that one. Sam, how are you doing?
I am okay. I'm actually excited to talk about Habitica tonight because I used to have Habitica on my phone and I realized I'm already level 3. But I quit using it and I deleted it from my apps that I was using. And there's a reason why. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to talk about this tonight.
Okay.
So
we have no guest. It's just the 3 of us. But we can make it if we try. Get it? Yeah.
You right.
Thanks for aging us. Anyway.
But we're going to start with our topic. Our topic is Habitica. Tracy was turned onto it by Deanna, and so started using it and thought that might be interesting. And Sam's clearly had experience with it, and I have never heard of it. And so she's going to tell us a little bit about it, and we're going to talk about how we might use it. And I look forward to that because I made sure to do almost no research into what this thing was so that I could take it all in with Tracy's introduction. I did find out that it was an app, and I did download it, but I have not opened the app yet, so I don't know what it's all about yet. So Tracy, tell us about Habitica.
Well, and I'm not going to claim to be an expert. I just tried to start using it a few weeks ago.
You are the absolute expert, and I am counting on you to answer all of my questions.
So now I feel like I should have done slide decks. But no, the reason I offered it up as an idea for our show is, in part, part of what we've been talking about is trying to change our habits, and then talking about ways to help us, one, remember what habits we should change and track them and things like that. And then the obvious tie-in in terms of you're in an event, you can be part of an adventuring party, but you're like a D&D character. You get a class, you can level up, as Sam has already pointed out. That type of stuff. It seemed like an interesting thing to talk through for us. So the app is, and that's the thing is, I didn't even necessarily fully read the site. I just started using it. But it is about tracking different types of things about your life that you want to track. So one of them are like, I forget what term they use, but it's the plus and minus system, where there's things that you want to track that you're doing. So like I have doing art, or right now I'm doing 40 days, 40 bags to try to go through stuff in the garage. That's for those who listen to the Radiotome show, and when they see that episode, the adventure journal, that's what I'm, as my big project, is trying to get rid of mount stuff. So I can track me doing that type of thing. Then there's your dailies, which are recurring tasks, but it's very amorphous, like it's not clearly defined. So it could be a true daily task, or you could say it repeats every week on these days, or every so many weeks. And then the last one are tasks that you're trying to do. So I consider them more projects. You can say,
so like one-time
like
things?
I have one right now. Yeah. So like I want to build shelves in my pantry. I I haven't gotten to it yet, but I have it written out, like the steps I need to take in order to get that done. And as you complete tasks, you can get potions and others. Like you get loot drops, you get XP and other stuff. If you have dailies that you don't complete, you lose health. So it does have some mechanisms in there, and I think maybe you too, if you do something that you said that you don't want to do. I don't know for sure. I think you lose health for that one too, though.
Okay, so you can put in, you can put in that you want to, that you have a goal of like not snacking or whatever, and then if you do, you lose health. Okay.
Right.
You can put in like, I have one that's stairs versus elevator. So if I go somewhere where there's a choice and I choose the stairs, I click stairs and I get like extra mana or health or points or whatever. And if I click elevator, I get a negative, because that's how I set it up, was that I want it to help me choose to take stairs. Now, don't ask me how I set that up, because I can't remember, because that was like a while ago, but apparently I did, because it's right here.
Nice.
Yeah, and I did share it with Fred too, and I know it's not always the most intuitive interface. Okay. And then the other thing that you do get in addition to like loot drops and XP is you can get gold, and then you can turn it in. And one thing that is interesting about it is you can make up your own use for the gold, or you can buy stuff in world, like armor and stuff for your character and stuff like that. So it totally depends on what you're looking for.
Have you?
Because clearly they also have to make money, right? Like, or
have you ever seen the app Epic Win?
No.
So that's one that I used off and on. I don't know. I probably installed it first on my first iPhone, and I've used it off and on since. But it's basically it sounds like there's a lot of similarities. Epic Win is it's more presented as like a to-do list, and you can set it to be certain days of the week or daily or whatever. And then you can also, when you set it up, you tell it like how much XP is each one worth, and it shows you going along on the map on your quest and whatever. It sounds like it's a little less complex. It doesn't have the mana and health. Like you never lose health. It's just you don't make progress on your quest, and you don't get the XP.
Can you like have teams on that one?
I don't remember. I still have it on my phone. Apparently I kept it on.
Because, yeah, I think that's kind of the benefit of Habitica, is if you have other people in your life that also join it, like there's a way to connect your accounts, and you can like, I don't know, you can like keep track of each other and try to support each other and whatever. And that's actually what I was going to say about why I took it off my phone, because I didn't have anybody to do that with. And so I found my interest in it waned very soon after I put it on there. Because part of kind of the shtick of it is you know, like with so many other things in life, if you have support, if you have other people in your life that are supporting you doing something, it adds to motivation and makes it easier to do. And I literally did not have anybody to do this with.
It looked,
and I had downloaded it on a whim, and I was just kind of looking at it for a few days to check it out anyway. It wasn't like I ever really made a huge commitment and then just fell off the wagon or something. I just was checking it out to see if it would work. And what I quickly realized was, if it's going to work for me, I need other people on there as well in my party to interact with.
I just reopened it for the first time in years. And Epic Win does not have a team aspect. That you set the amount of XP that each task is worth, and whether it's recurring or a one-time thing, and you collect loot and you go on your quests and whatever. Let's see, you pick your class and you build your character, and then you also categorize which stat is the primary for each task. So as you complete tasks of that stat, you actually like fill your intelligence bar or your stamina bar or whatever, and that's how you increase your stats. But it does not have the team aspect. I used it for a long time, and then eventually my interest waned, mostly because and I'll be curious to see how this works, because mostly I think my interest waned because I kind of just got tired of having to open my phone and check a box every time I did a thing. It became more of a chore just to track all of my behavior. So I'll be curious to see how that plays out with Habitica, and how that social piece impacts that as well. Is there a limit on like the number of people you can have in a party?
Well, I think so. The only hard part is, this is the part I'm not as happy about, is you're only allowed one party.
Okay.
Mm.
So you could imagine, for instance, like, it'd be cool for us to have a party, and then maybe like I could have a party for my household.
Right.
Mixing the two together, I'm not sure always makes sense.
Because there's a degree to which, like, it would be interesting to make the Tome Show party, right? And anybody who's a listener that wants to join in, or over on the Discord who wants to hang out with us and do this with us, I think we could very easily open that up. But if it gets to a point where there's, even 10, 15, 20 people, that you can very quickly get to a spot where there's too much signal or too much noise to get the signal, and once it gets so busy that you're not paying attention to it, I imagine it would lose its effectiveness.
And then you can do a guild, which is slightly different, but that's more chat based rather than being able to see, like, is someone's HP going down every day? Do they need some help? Sort of thing. But that would be one way where we could
have a Tome Show guild.
Yeah, and then it was like, should we just have them on the Discord instead?
Well, shh.
Right.
That was where my head went. I'm just as I thought through it. The other thing. The thing that I found, because like I do agree, so I'd been trying to do Trello boards in the past, and that was definitely a chore to remember to log into. The fact that I know that I'll lose HP actually is a little bit of incentive to go back in, and I think over time you can do things like go on quests and defeat monsters and stuff like that, which also again makes it more likely that you might go in and just to check a box. I also don't try to track everything, but one of the things that's been helping me do is, there's recurring tasks every week. Like right now, mostly we're ordering groceries, like get the order together, or this is the day we do laundry. And then I can say like once a month, the first week of the month, that's when I do like duvet covers and stuff, which I know this is all very boring and mundane, but it's great because I can see approximately, like, I'm not trying not to overload any one day. This is something that I can actually be sustainable. You can see your streaks, like how often in a row you're doing it, and stuff like that, which has also been good for me because some days, particularly since it's the 390th day of March of 2020, the days kind of run into each other, and suddenly it's Friday, and
almost. We're almost at Friday.
yeah. And so like stuff gets forgotten. So that's a lot of the stuff that's been useful. The things that are a little rough are like, there's a snowstorm and it turns out that trash day has been moved a day. It's not actually easy to say, don't take away my HP because I can't. I literally can't bring it out.
And that's where when that kind of stuff happens in things like this, that's where I either start to lose interest because it's punishing me for things that I shouldn't be punished for, or the lack of flexibility because I can't just fix it, or I'm tempted to cheat on it because it's not really my fault. I'm not gonna let myself lose HP on something that's not my fault. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put down that I did it, even though I'll do it tomorrow. But once I sort of walk down that path, it can fall apart real fast. So I know my tendencies on these kinds of things over time. So. Yeah. I'll be curious to see. So somebody in the well, somebody in my Twitter sphere, which I was going to say in the geek community on Twitter, but I've curated my Twitter account in such a way that it's only geeks. Somebody there, I don't know, several months ago was recommending the Sweepy app, and that one's specifically for like household chores. And it's not really, I mean, you can be gamified. You can pay for an account, like a family account or whatever, and then everybody has their own ability to log in and track what chores they do, and you get points for it, and you can do what you want with it or whatever. But we just have, the free account, and I use it, and I've got it on my son's phone and whatever, so he can check in on chores as well. So I'll be curious to see, like, if I'm doing the chores that way, but I need to track my XP or whatever through Habitica to see if it becomes extra onerous and problematic for me, or if somehow they reinforce each other. So, and maybe, I mean, the chores on there, are such that I'm using on Sweepy are things that like happen, I don't know, monthly, and it's mostly chores the kids do. A few of them are things that I do, so it's probably not. Maybe the things I put on there are not the kinds of things I put on Habitica. Making dinner every night for the family can be on Habitica, but doesn't need to be on Sweepy because I'm not going to not feed them. Doing dishes,
Right.
I can give myself credit for on Habitica, but not worry about it on Sweepy.
Right, and some of those things like dishes and cooking and stuff like that might be better as those plus or minus habit trackers rather than as dailies, because then you don't have to worry about the inflexibility. Okay. It's like, I did it or I didn't, and now I can see, and I still getting the credit for it.
Oh, Steal Your Minds in the chat, and they had just pointed out that Sam, you had put on in Discord that we are live on Discord instead of live on Twitch, so they're mocking you for that.
Well, technically speaking, we are live
you
on
are.
Discord.
I'm not paying that much attention to Discord, just whatever notifications come across my phone. So.
And so I had started Habitica right before we started doing the Adventures Journal. So the other thing, though, I kind of wanted to use it to talk about is, like, do we want to talk about a little bit, maybe in a future episode, or we're thinking of trying to figure out a book, like, do we want to talk about habit building as part of FIT? Because it does help us, like, with the water, or, whatever you want to track and how you reward yourself for it. It's probably interesting to find out about.
Yeah, I was curious because, I mean, certainly establishing good habits is part of fitness. But so far we haven't necessarily been... I mean, Sam mentioned he uses it to track whether he takes the stairs or uses the elevator, right? And that's definitely fitness-based. But a lot of what we've talked about is, like, finishing projects, doing chores, that kind of stuff. And that's not directly, anyway, fitness-related, right?
No, but I think that there is an aspect of fitness that is very much habit-based. And so if you're trying to be more cognizant and intentional about how you're using your time to make better habits in your home life, in your own environment, then you're also maybe even just the tiniest bit slightly more likely to then possibly incorporate some exercise into that and try to make it part of the fitness journey. I mean, it's all habit based, right? So, I mean, I have a colleague who at work who runs like 3 miles a day, 3 to 6 miles, and every day, no matter what. Now, if it's snowing outside, she runs on the treadmill, whatever. Or I think she has one of those stair steppy things. But anyway, I asked her why she does it.
Stairs. That thing is way harder than a treadmill.
Honestly, yeah, well, it's one of those elliptical. Okay. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to misrepresent.
Okay. She's got some
really
machine
know what she does. She does something, right? But like the whole thing is, it's because it's habit, and that she knows that she can't break that habit because it's just part of what she does. It's just part of her day. It's part of who she is. She is a person that runs every single day.
I think that's part of where a lot of the getting into the fitness routine for me, and I imagine for you as well, Sam, is particularly difficult because, my year is broken up into semesters, and every semester is different. My classes are on different nights, or different days, and the number of classes and whether I'm going out to the field is different. And so it's really hard to establish, like, these are the days that I do this thing, because in a few months it won't be.
Right.
And then it's going to be summer and I have time for anything, but do I really? Because there's a million things going on in the summers and whatever, So
Right.
that's one of the areas where I struggle. So I think maybe that if we'll try this out and see if it helps, right? It helps establish that.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing is she doesn't run at the same time every day. Like sometimes she does, like sometimes there's a week where she runs every day at 6:30 p.m. And then other times she's in a meeting at 6:30. So she ran at 3 o'clock or at noon or, whatever. Like, so that's part of it too, is how to navigate real life and still make that
Right.
part of your routine, even because see this is part of the issue, right? And it's kind of feels like an excuse when I say it in my head, but part of the issue is I am very
Right.
habitual. And so when I get a habit, I like it to be the same every time. And that is part of the problem. But doesn't that seem like an excuse? Like it even sounds like an excuse to my ears when I say, well, I'm habitual and I want to make a schedule where I rode my bike a couple times this week, right? And I was like, oh, it's time to ride my bike. Like, not because it was just, oh, I've got 30 minutes or an hour to exercise. It was, oh, this is the time. And then the third day, I didn't ride my bike because at the time that was the time, I had to do something else, right? So like, but that's really an excuse, right? Like it's not that it's a valid excuse, actually. It's not even an invalid excuse. It's a valid excuse. But the issue is I have to learn how to work around that. And I haven't yet done that. And I'm 47 fucking years old, right? And I haven't learned that yet. Like, why haven't I learned that? Like, this is something where it's like, okay, I really need to try to find something that's going to make me
Sam
do
is
this
so
seriously.
passionate about this. He's getting himself editing to do.
I am. Those putting that pure beeping tone in the podcast is just, sorry, I probably shouldn't cuss on the live stream, but
well, and Sam, so like part of it is like right now, most of mine are more household related because we just moved. We have a lot of different routines and things we have to do. So I don't hope forever to have in Habitica trash day. I hope eventually that it's just, I get used to it. I know it's trash day. I take everything out. But my brain is not set up very easily to make that easy until I've done it a lot.
Right.
So now I've set it up so that I remember to do it. I don't remember, like, I'm not like, what am I supposed to get done today? And then I look at it in the morning and it tells me everything that I have to get, that I have set out for myself for today.
Right.
And then going back to the adventures journal thing, that's when it's a great time to like look at my time slots and say, for today, when do I plan on doing these things I know I have to do?
Right.
And then, and so right now it's household related because that's like basic stuff you have to get done before you can then, like last year I had a gym available to me. I had a pretty like routine that I had been doing for a few years. That's all gone. I've got to rebuild it.
Right.
And so I'm hoping eventually to get more of the exercise and stuff in, but mental health is also part of fitness. And right now that's where I need to get through first. Like there's been a lot of stress and all this stuff. So get this stuff settled, get it straightened out. And then I know we were talking, at least Jeff and I were talking about it earlier. You know, my plan is to work on a garden in the spring, and that'll give me a lot of exercise right away. And then I'll be outside doing stuff, which right now is just hard because the streets here are kind of, there's no sidewalk, so it'd have to be in the street to walk. It's not a lot of opportunity for exercise currently. So making it through the winter.
I look forward to, we're going to try it out for at least a month. Check back in next month, see how it goes. And hopefully we can also be in maybe one thing that we all need to put on our Habitica is that once a month we're gonna do this episode. We're gonna have this check-in with each other because we life happened and that's fine, and we weren't able to do it last month, and then we didn't really do it at the end of December because Christmas time and the holidays. So we did one earlier. So it'd been a couple of months, and I think that's been meaningful to me. Like I set these goals. I have the goals on a Post-it note that I've left by my computer since the last time we recorded. But I look at them and it's like, oh, some of those aren't meaningful anymore for very real reasons that we can talk about in a minute, because we should probably transition to talking about how our progress is going. And yet I never sort of thought through and reflected on and updated my goals because we didn't do this thing, right? And I want to make sure we keep doing this thing because that's part of what's helping me keep accountable. And maybe Habitica can also be that. So I'll look forward to in a month sort of talking through what things did we put in there and which ones specifically are helping us with our fitness goals and what have you. So excellent. Well, I look forward to checking it out. I still haven't even opened the app, but I will do it tonight as soon as we're done chatting. And Sam's got a head on all of us because he's level 3. I expect at the very least the 3 of us will be in a party.
Yeah, so does one of us want to make a party?
Well, I'm already in a party, so maybe I'll double check with the other people that I can add you. But
okay.
But yeah.
So we can do it that way for now, and then figure out if other Tome Show folks want to join in. How best to do that, whether it be through a guild or can you can leave a party? Is that a thing, Tracy? Okay. Well, I'm not talking about you, but like if you've got a party of friends and family and we were part of it for a while, but the Tome Show folks wanted to form one, like we could splinter off and form our own little parties. We could have 3 different parties, each of us with our own little pod of fitness questers or whatever. But who knows what we could do with it for eventually. We'll see where the interest is.
You mean three guild? So there's actually a nerdy fitness.
Right,
guild.
but no, we could have one guild for everybody, but then we could each have our own like separate parties, and then report in on how's Tome Show Team Grinder doing or what have you. So.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Steal Your Mind is excited about having parties, but I don't think he's quite understanding what kind of party we're talking about. He just wants to get together with friends and have fun again.
Well, that's okay. Well, so in the chat for the party, my very first message was, we're having a party. So, not the only one out there.
All right, should we talk about our goals? And our progress?
Sure.
Who wants to talk first about how their progress has been for the last, I guess, 2 months, we'll call it. Okay.
I will do so. My progress has been a perfect flat line graph. I think that my goal was to either walk or ride my bike at least 5 times or 6 times a week, something like that, and then to sleep better, to like track my sleep and make sure I'm getting enough sleep and everything. And I have not succeeded on either one of those, but I have been trying to be intentional about it, and so I have done some work. I'll say that. I have not been as consistent with it as I want, and I haven't reached the goal. But I don't feel horrible about it. I am super busy, and while that's a great excuse that just about every single person I've ever known has, that they have a busy life, it's just a part of how my life works right now and trying to work things around. And so, I'm probably going to keep the same goal, and I'm just going to redouble my efforts because I have made some changes and I have been very intentional about what I'm doing. But the one change I haven't made is I haven't made this fitness goal such a high priority that I move it above other things. And I think maybe that's my next step, is that I need to move it above some other things that I have in my life that take time. and I need to maybe displace those things. And that's kind of the step I haven't made, even though I'm being intentional and even though I'm trying to sort of set up a situation where I'm much more likely to exercise on my, because we have these really cool bikes, right, and all that. But I just something comes up and it falls down, and so maybe I need to learn to make it keep its priority spot and not let it slip. And so I'm trying to just think of a different way to sort of look at how I'm dealing with everything. And so I think maybe if I approach it like that, it might actually work out a little bit better for me. So so that's kind of where I am. Um, so I don't, I do sleep better because I'm trying to be intentional about getting enough sleep and drinking more water. I'm drinking water right now. Um, but I definitely haven't hit my goals. So I'm still striving, and that's pretty much it.
Tracy, do you want to talk next, or shall I?
Sure,
Okay.
I can go. So I think my goal is to survive.
It was, or it is?
Because
Okay.
it kind of is both. So just to go back to what was it, like November, my mom had sepsis and then had a wound, and I'd been taking care of it. That finally healed at the beginning of January. So from basically October 1st to January 8th, I was doing wound care for about 45 minutes to an hour a day, almost the whole time every day. So there wasn't a lot of extra time, to be honest, once you're doing that after work, because I was still working full time and I still have a 4-year-old. So
You haven't gotten rid of the 4-year-old yet? Jeez.
it was just like, no. So almost 5 years old. So, geez. So it was like, hey, can I at least keep everything together? So we've gotten back to even more cooking at home a lot, which helps with the fitness in some ways. Like I said earlier, I'm working on that, get rid of, deal with mount stuff. So over time, we've accumulated a lot of stuff because we had to kind of emergency move here. We didn't deal with it before we moved, so I got to deal with it now. That's about half an hour to an hour every day going through the boxes in the garage. So that's also, so it's incremental. It's not anything flashy. It's not even something I can necessarily put into an easy number, but I think those are all great things. So that's what I'm going to keep working on until spring comes. And I'm going to be building raised beds and gardening, and we've got a play set for a little dude. So we're going to go outside a lot more. And just setting myself up to do better.
Good. So my since I have my magic Post-it note by my computer, so I remember exactly what my goals were. Some of my goals. So one of the goals I had, you may recall, my littlest one had developed the bad habit of biting his nails, which he almost certainly learned from myself and my wife, who both do that. And so we were trying to break that habit. We were using the nasty tasting clear nail polish stuff to just as a reminder. Like when you taste that, it's not to get you to stop, because I've played that game before when I was young, but it's to be a reminder but you have to actually want to stop, right? He seems to have completely stopped biting his nails, and so that's a great success. The goal for me was to stop biting my nails as well with him, sort of in solidarity, which is a harder ask because I've been biting my nails since I was younger than he is. So it's something I've been doing for 35 years, and so that's a hard habit to break. And I don't know that I've stopped, but I do it a lot less. I'm better about it, and when I notice that I'm doing it, I stop doing it. I carry nail clippers in my pocket, so if my nails are getting long enough that I can kind of get my teeth under them, which will sometimes be what happens, and then once I can, then they're there, and then eventually I end up biting it off, right? Just out of habit. So I keep the nail clippers, and if I notice I'm doing that, I'll pull them out and I'll trim it down a little bit. And so I'm definitely getting better at it. Not 100%, but there's improvement. The other thing on my list, the next thing on my list was for my own sort of mental health. I wanted to compartmentalize my day a little bit. I was at the beginning of our 2-month long winter break that we normally don't have, but because of our pandemic scheduling at my college, we were. Or we had that 2-month long break, and I wanted to sort of maintain some sort of routine wherein I would do some cleaning, some working, and some playing every day to sort of keep the routine and keep mental health going. And for the most part, I was successful at that. That went well. Now I'm a month into the next semester, and all routines are out the window, and that's part of where some of my struggles are. Because my third goal, and it's probably my longest standing goal, I've been working on this one for a long time, is to have 3 times a week that I'm active. Right, it's no longer going to the gym because pandemic, but I was running and then or walking 3 times a week, and that was going really well for a long time until it wasn't. And there's a few reasons that it wasn't. One is that my schedule is such this semester that instead of teaching 2 days a week, which gives me the 3 off days that I can make room to go out and exercise. I'm now teaching 4 days a week because we have somebody on sabbatical and I'm filling in for them. And then there's the issue of I live in northern Indiana and it's winter, and I don't want to go out and walk when the roads are there are no sidewalks, much as Tracy discussed. It's residential areas around here, so I usually feel pretty safe on the residential roads walking or running, but they don't plow them until after they've done all the main roads. And so by the time the plows get around to doing them a day or two after a snow, it's pretty much just hard packed ice that you're walking on. And I don't oftentimes feel good about walking long distances on hard packed ice for hours at a time. And really the bigger thing, because all that stuff I could get around. The bigger issue is that I had, by November, when last time we talked, I had been dealing with this sort of pain in my side and in my hip, and it was getting worse, and it was particularly worse after I had exercised. I even said something on the Discord of, it sounds like, it might be like an incisional hernia. It's around where an old, appendix scar was, and people were like, keep an eye on that. My wife had a big lump, and it was super painful, and you have to get surgery for it. And I'm like, well, so far no lumps and whatever, so I don't think it's that, but we'll see. And then the next day I felt a lump and I'm like, oh crap. And I don't want it to get worse, right? I didn't want to go out and keep going and keep doing the things that were making it hurt more and end up making whatever, if it was a hernia, making it worse than it was, and creating extra medical complications. So I finally got in to see a doctor in January. And she's like, well, I'm not sure if it's a hernia, but let me refer you to our general surgery people, and they can look at it, and they're used to that. And the general surgery people felt around and was like, well, I don't think it's a hernia, but I'm not positive. Let's do a CT scan. So then I got to do the CT scan thing, and the result was, no, it's definitely not a hernia. Everything is fine. Surgically, there's nothing to be done. Everything's okay. So you should, if there might be some other thing going on, there might be some sort of infection or inflammation in the abdominal wall or whatever, you should go back to your general practitioner and talk more about what's going on. And I'm like, well, that's great, but the semester starts next week, and there's no time once I'm back in school. There's no time to make doctor's appointments and do all that stuff. And so that's kind of where I'm at. It was getting bad enough to the point that I wasn't going, for a while we were going out. I cut down to once a week. I was going out on walks, and then with the cold and the ice, it turned into 0 times a week for the last probably month or so. So that's where I'm at. I've still got the pain, and it's still worse when I'm active. We went sledding with the kids the other day because it was our last real good day before it started warming up to do it. And I was super sore for 3 days afterwards in that area, and had all that pain come back. So it's not gone, whatever it is, by resting it. It's still totally there. So I want to try to at least get out and start walking again. But it might only be once a month, once a month, once a week, twice a week, as time and soreness and pain allows. So yeah, I don't know. I want to get more active, but it's not a safe time to go to the gym, despite the fact that it's open. And they're charging us for our membership. We can't cancel because we have like 5 more months on our required contract. And the roads are clearing out and it's warming up a little bit. So walking would be nice, but we'll see if all that comes back as bad as it was. Until summer, when I can finally get back to the doctor and try to figure out what's going on. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, no, and that all actually happened. All the doctor's appointments and stuff happened right mid to late January. So I was really looking forward to getting together and talking about it last month, and then life was such that it wasn't good for the mental health of people involved to do that episode. So
yeah.
And now you guys are having this chat in the chat room, and I'm not keeping up with it at all. I'm trying to pay attention to what I'm saying instead of what's going on over there. So yeah. So I guess what are my goals? Just get more.
Well, so Jeff, are you going to get it re-looked at in
That's my
in
plan.
the summer?
Assuming the pain is still there, my plan is to make another doctor's appointment and have it looked at again in the summer and see what's going on, or see if they can figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't, and it could be that the solution is I need to go to if there's some sort of inflammation in the abdominal wall and it's not able to, the muscles aren't such that they're able to sort of do the work that they're supposed to be able to do. Then maybe the solution is go and do the exercises and stuff that, which I was good at when I was at the gym and now can't do anymore. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm holding out hope that, by this summer, I'll be vaccinated and feel better about going to the gym. Cross my fingers. Yeah. Unfortunately, I live in a state that has no priority given to educators. So I just have to wait till my age category comes up, and I'm not quite old enough to be on that list. So
I also don't qualify yet, but not because New York didn't fast track educators, but because I am not in a classroom. Everything is still online for me fully because of the decision the college made. So yeah, I don't. If that's the one question I cannot. That's the one question that because New York has an online thing where you go and you put in all the answers to the question. If I answered yes to that question, I would get on the list and I'd be able to go get a vaccination right now. But I'm not. That's not a complaint from me. I think there are several parts of the population that need it more than I do, and also my wife wouldn't qualify.
It doesn't do you much good.
So it would. Yeah, it doesn't do me much good for me to go get it, and then she doesn't get to get it. And if I got it, I could actually go. I could go back to the classroom. If they, but my classes are already online. It's a giant. It becomes a logistical issue at that point.
Well, I'm not only face to face with all of my classes, but I'm also supervising people in the field, which is in K-12 classrooms. Right. So I'm going out to the local schools on a weekly basis as well. So it would probably be useful all around for folks, but the state has decided to basically just everything is just age categories. They did healthcare workers first, and then after that, every tier is age categories and no other exceptions. So if I lived literally like half a mile that way, I'd be in Michigan, and then I could get vaccinated pretty quick here because I think they're prioritizing teachers. But
yeah.
But there we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to try to get more active. The good news is that despite the fact that I haven't been able to be active, and I also know I haven't necessarily been eating super well or whatever, I haven't weighed myself probably since November, the last time we talked, and I weighed myself this afternoon. and I'm pretty much at about where I was 2-3 months ago. So weight wise, the falling off the habits has not been a disaster for me. So
Yeah, I have not weighed myself since we had talked about it and decided, or at least we had talked about the fact that sometimes it's even more detrimental to keep such
Right.
close track of the weight, and so
that's
I
why
haven't really.
I'm basically
you know.
I'm only
But
I'm only
I've
weighing
been
in
trying
when
to
we're
pay
doing an
attention,
episode. That's
right?
my
So
goal. It's to only weigh in when we're doing an episode.
yeah. So I'm just paying attention
Right.
to how I feel, right? Because I can tell. Because even though, so this is what's okay. Even though I'm teaching online, I dress up just like the same as I would. Like I go about my day the same way as I would if I was in class, and I wear shirt and tie to class. So I get up and I can tell, right? I can tell by the way my clothes fit whether I've shifted my weight by more than a couple of pounds, right? So I keep kind of keeping a cognizant idea of that, even though I'm not weighing myself. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
hard. It's
that's the way it
hard for
goes.
me to track how I feel because life in a pandemic is such that sometimes I feel cruddy, and I don't know that it has. I don't know if it has anything to do with my. I don't know if it's my mental health and just being tired of all of that, or if it's my physical health and I've been eating poorly or whatever. So, but yeah. But hey, on all those Saturdays that we're not going out and walking as a family, I've started playing Gloomhaven with my kids, and that's super fun.
Nice,
Nice.
nice. Are you still playing D&D with them? Are you
We
running
play
Avernus?
D&D on Sundays when they're not in trouble for this, that, and whatever. So we missed like a month, but then we got back into it last week. And then we play. We either go on a walk or we play Gloomhaven, or if we can squeeze both in, we do both on Saturdays. So like last weekend, we didn't go on a walk because we had just had a big snow, but we went sledding. And we spent the morning sledding and then played Gloomhaven in the afternoon. But that's been fun. One of my normal Friday night game players recommended Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. So it's
No, I have
a
not played that one.
version of supplement for whatever Gloomhaven that explicitly has like this learn to play stages, and it sort of builds you up intentionally, teaching you how it gets a little more complex with every scenario until eventually after like 5 scenarios you're just playing the full game, but you've been slowly introduced to it all. And so I figured since I'm playing with a 9-year-old, something like that might be super useful. And and you don't have to. What is it? $100 investment into the full game. It's like $40, so it's a lot less of an investment to be like
Yeah.
Because Gloomhaven is one of those things like, well, that seems interesting, but I don't want to spend $100 to find out if I like it. But I'll spend $40
Right.
to play something with the boys and see if we like it. And that's worked out well. But that's not fitness related. That's just my alternative to being active is playing Gloomhaven.
Yeah, but again, mental health and physical health are so intertwined that, you know, there is a lot to be said for keeping your brain
Right.
moving and working and trying to think of different problem solving strategies. That's part of the reason I love board games so much, and my wife and I play board games a lot, and we have an extensive collection of board games, and that's one of the reasons why, is because we both know that if you're using your mind in novel ways and you're using critical thinking to solve problems, even if it's a game, it's still healthy to do that.
Right.
So
and a lot of times, sometimes the youngest in particular, although in general, Gloomhaven is a cooperative game, but because kids will be kids, sometimes it's not cooperative. Like I think the last scenario we played introduced us to the individual goals. You have these secret individual goals that you're trying to accomplish in each scenario, right? And the youngest was, we found out afterwards, it was be the first one in the group to be exhausted, to basically get knocked out in the game.
Right.
So this was a scenario where like there were 3 things to accomplish, and so we got close to accomplishing the first of the 3 things, and then he went like suicidal and had himself taken out. And it's like, well, I mean, I get that you had this goal, but now we're going to lose. Like, there's no way for us to win because we're down. Like, so, well, I guess we'll try it again the next time we'll try the scenario again next weekend and see if it goes better. But
I mean, that's a pretty adult nuance, right? And you see that in several different board games, but it's a pretty adult nuance to be able to prioritize the group's chances of winning over your own need to complete your bonus goal, but timing it enough that you can still meet your bonus goal and not tank everybody. That's a really like those are.
It is a really nuanced thing,
yeah.
but the and Steal Your Mind is pointing out. So got the most points of the win, but we died. Still got the most points, except not actually in this scenario because you don't get the points for the bonus goal if you don't win the scenario. So he didn't gain anything from it, and he felt bad about it, and it became a whole thing, and that's where it's like, okay, sometimes the game when you're playing with younger ones and it turns into this sort of life learning scenario, that's great and all for growing up and learning and all that kind of stuff, but it's not necessarily a boost to my mental health. Because now it's just added stress to my life. But that has not been the case every time we played. That's just been sort of the one time as they figure out that we're supposed to be cooperative, and you might have your individual goal, but don't sink us in the process because then you get nothing. Yeah, Steal Your Mind. Who knew that kids add stress? Yeah, well. Weird. Yeah.
Impossible.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've rambled for quite a bit. We went on a big tangent on Gloomhaven, which maybe we can talk about sometime in an episode, but probably not a fitness episode because I think there's, Gloomhaven is an interesting, like, it's almost just let's play DM-less D&D, and that's an interesting thing we could talk about sometime, but probably not here. Anybody else have anything they want to say?
I don't think so. I think that's a good check-in. I'm looking forward to next month's check-in because I want to see if this Habitica thing, like if we set up a team or whatever, or guild or whatever we end up doing, if we set that up and if we keep going, and I mean, when we started this, it was let's see how we can work through this and just have conversations about how we're doing and put some motivation in the form of needing to report every month, and I want it to work too. And I kind of feel what you're saying, Jeff, about not meeting the past 2 months has really like made us go a step back, I think. So yeah, I want to start meeting every month again as we originally planned. So I'm looking forward to that. I think we'll be
all
good.
right, Tracy, any last thoughts?
I got the okay from Fred to add folks, or at least you two, to the party.
Nice.
So just let me know
later. Is he the only other person in your party, or? Okay.
There's one other person, but I did it to the group chat, so.
Yeah. My username is D&D Samuel, same as it is everywhere. I know, you're shocked.
I don't have a username yet, but I will text you when I do.
That's how I know if I've ever, like, signed up for something before and forgot about it and try to sign up again. If I put in DM Samuel and it's like that username's already taken, I'm like, oh crap, I gotta go look, because obviously I've done this before. Because amazingly, there aren't a lot of DM Samuel usernames.
I'm the same way with Squatch. I've been using Squatch since I was 12 for things, so I've got that name all over the place. Every now and then you'll run into somebody that has it, but I spell it like. Typically, people think of Squatch as short for Sasquatch, in which case there should be a T in it, but I don't spell it with a T, and very few people are mimicking that name, so I'm the same way.
Yep.
All right, so let's go ahead and call that the end of our check-in for this month. If folks want to check in with us, if you have questions, you can find the show on Facebook, on Twitter as @TheTomeShow. You can email thetomeshow@gmail.com. We have the Discord channel, and you can get that link by talking to any of us, and we'll be happy to get you the Discord link. And there's a D&D fitness channel that hasn't been super active lately, but I guess we just kind of found out why, didn't we? We've been struggling to keep it up. But you can also reach us all individually on Twitter. I am at Squatch, SQUACH, as we just discussed. Tracy, you are?
At Sarah Dark Magic, Sarah with an
And
H.
Sam?
I am at DM
Surprisingly,
Samuel.
Without an H.
Without an H.
Where would you put an H on DM Samuel? I don't know. You could be Sean Connery, DM Samuel. All right. That is where we're going to end our fitness quest today. We were appropriately geeky. We injected a lot of our geek into our fitness this time around, so that was fun. Please come along and join us as we continue to build up our geekiness and our health. The end.
The end.
Bye.
I already stopped the recording, so the stream is still going.
That's right.
They heard you whisper tone. Oh, have you been painting? No.
No,
These
these
are
are
seeds.
the seeds.
Oh,
They're
nice.
pansy seeds.
Nice.
I got Hudson Valley Seed Company.
My youngest and I have been working
heirlooms
on a
and stuff.
nightstand that should have been done months ago, but it turns out it got cold. I don't know if I mentioned this, and we do all of our work in the garage or outside, and that's not awesome. Plus, I'm back at work and he's at school, and just forcing ourselves to do a little bit of every day is tough. But then I've also decided that we've got enough long scrap pieces, and I've been desperately looking around trying to find a decent bookshelf to finish off my my gaming area. That I decided, you know what I could do is I'll just get some of do some of those like industrial pipes and flanges, and all I have to do is like sand it, finish it off. Maybe we got a router, so maybe try the router to sort of round off the edges on it, the hard edges on it, attach the flanges, and done. It should be a super easy project that we have not yet started on, even though I've spent the money and bought all the materials. So, I look forward to testing that out. So.
Yeah, I have all the wood for the pantry project.
Right.
I just haven't cut it yet because I need the room. Yeah, I had to bring the car
what
to
are
the
you
garage
using
for
for
a
a
while.
saw?
Kind of go into your thing. So my dad gave me his miter saw, so I could do that one. I also I think it was Fred got me the Walt makes like it's a circular saw, but the smaller one that's more handheld, handheld.
Yeah. All we
you
have
use
for
two
saws
hands,
is a circular saw, and so it makes, we've gotten some other things on guides that we have attached it to and sleds to try to get straighter cuts and whatever. But it's I spend a lot of time looking at ideas and reading articles and watching YouTube videos about how to do stuff, and it's really hard to follow along any of that because there's just an assumption that you have a table saw on everything. And I don't want to spend $1,000 on a table saw. I don't even know where I would put it in the garage. So there we are. Or we're trying to figure out how to get by. So, but at least with the router, I'm hoping that we can get good miter edges when next time we do a dice tower, because that was the hardest part on the dice tower is that we tried to make miters with hand saws.
Right. And miter saws are cheaper, but they're not as useful as a table saw.
They are, yeah.
I want to get one, but what I heard so I'm thinking if I do clear out my garage and go through all those boxes, I might eventually get myself a table saw as a reward because it's a lot of work. But what I heard watching YouTube is that apparently, the Saw Stop company, their patent runs out in August. So, and a bunch of manufacturers might have the technology already ready to go for when the patent is free.
My dad has a Saw Stop. We all, everybody in the family pulled together and bought him one because he, after decades of woodworking, literal decades of woodworking, he cut his fingers off. And had to be, and he's in a
my
small
God.
town, so they had to lifeline him on the helicopter to the city to reattach, and he'd go through the therapy and you know, whatever. So he's fine now. But then we're like, yeah, but you're gonna go right back to woodworking again. We all know you are, but we don't want you to just jump back in. So we all chipped in and got him a saw stop, which, I mean, so far he hasn't had to do anything with it, right? I mean, one of the things about the saw stop things is that, like, it works, but the way, the brake that it uses to lock down the blade, they charge, like, I don't know, what is it, $100 or $70 or whatever for each of those. So every time you use it, you just lost $100. Every time it saves your fingers, which, I mean, is probably worth it, but I have a hard time justifying going out and buying a $50 hand plane sometimes because you know, that's money the family could be using for something else.
Because it's right, and that's the thing is that, you know, my dad and I did a ton of woodworking when I was younger, but, you know, after he passed away, they lived in California. I live in New York. Like, there's literally no way for me to get all of his woodworking stuff out here. And we didn't have a house at the time. We lived in an apartment. So it was like, you know, I had to let all that stuff go. You know, my mom, we gave some to some family friends and whatnot. And then my mom held like an enormous garage sale. And, you know, and it actually was good for her, because then she could pay some of the bills and whatnot, because, you know, my dad died suddenly and everything. So, but it's kind of one of those, like, man, I really wish, you know, I really wish I wish he didn't die, but I really wish that I had been able to take some of that, even if I didn't have room for it, if I could have housed it for a while, I know I would use it later. And, you know, some of his stuff was the old, real high quality, you know, that stuff, it'd still be working right now.
I don't know if
today,
any of this is interesting to the folks in the stream, so maybe I should go ahead and end that and we can keep chatting. So say goodbye to the stream.
Yeah.
I certainly don't imagine it'll be interesting to those folks who are watching later on YouTube, but here we are.
Yeah.
So let me pop over to the closing. He didn't see that because I already switched.